The gigantic government sucks. Pursuit of happiness radio is deluxe. Liberty and freedom will make you smile. The pursuit of happiness on your radio dial. Just as cheeseburgers and liberty fries, it's pursuit of happiness time.
Students across America skipped school on Friday, they claim, so they could protest ICE. You know, probably the real reason they did it. 3-day weekend. Yes. Hi, everybody. Greetings, kids. Thanks for joining us. It's Monday now. And this is, I'm live streaming right now on social media as we are on the radio. So thank you so much for joining us. Coming up in a little bit, Alex Stein, comedian Alex Stein joining us. And I think we'll be talking to journalist Tony Ortiz about what happened in SD9 over the weekend. It's not a great weekend for Republicans in the Fort Worth area. And some claim it might be the writing on the wall for what to expect in the upcoming midterms. But before we get to any of that, I want to talk about what already happened this weekend. The new Epstein Files release implies Bill Gates had extramarital sex. And yet, the most embarrassing thing about Bill Gates still remains his haircut. It's actually a really weird story. According to the Epstein Files, Bill Gates got a venereal disease from a Russian hooker. I know. Don't blame me. I didn't do it. It was Bill Gates. This is apparently the real reason his wife divorced him. And then in an effort to make sure she didn't find out that he gave her a venereal disease, he spiked her drinks with antibiotics. Yeah, and that's not even the craziest thing in the Epstein Files. All right, let's talk about the Epstein Files. Buckle up because it's time for another episode of my War on Woke, Webster's War on Woke, if you will, where I will try to expose some of the liberal lunacy that is rotting America from the inside out. Over the weekend, there was a lot happening in and around the country involving the demon pedophiles that are the Hollywood liberal elites. Now, you probably didn't notice because you were busy enjoying your life. I, too, was not invited to the Grammys over the weekend. I was with my friend, Steve Johnson in the Walton and Johnson Show, and we were with normal people in New Orleans at the Superdome, where 1,000 very talented musicians were performing. And weirdly, oddly enough, we were with Harry Connick Jr. and Hoda Kotb, and it was a fun weekend for us. We had a great time. Now, over the weekend, I don't know what you were doing, probably grilling steak, hanging out with your family, whatever it may be. I hope you had an awesome time doing that. But speaking of entertainment that goes straight to hell, the Grammys were on, and they gave out some trophies to people who think screaming into a microphone is music. And over the weekend, Nicki Minaj actually lit up like a Roman candle. She went full red pill on her favorite artist, calling out a satanic cult that she claims kidnaps babies from other countries and mutilates them and sacrifices them for blood rituals to keep the power flowing. But other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? The jig is up, she says. For those that don't get that line, the jig is up refers to Jay-Z. She even teased daily story times on brainwashing techniques. I like this. I like this new era of Nicki Minaj. I think it's fun. We've been warned about Hollywood's demonic underbelly for a very long time. But when the queen of rap drops it during the Grammy weekend, you know, that's not something most people were expecting. Most of us would not have expected the woman that made the song Anaconda to drain the Swampaconda. Drain the Swampaconda. Is that? It's a work in. I'll work on it. I'll make it better. Now, right on cue, the Epstein Files kept delivering. At the same time that all this was going on over the weekend, we got a 3 million page monster that was the DOJ dump. It's like finding out your neighbor's garage is full of stolen Oscars and little black books. But liberals love to lecture us on things like morality. And they do so from their gated estates, their gated communities where they live. The real VIP list, I think, is Epstein's Rolodex. Not shocking who's in this thing. Harvey Weinstein leads the pack, already in the big house for being Hollywood's resident monster. And we know there are ties between Harvey Weinstein and Puff Daddy and Jeffrey Epstein. Is one very specific person that ties them all together. Nicki Minaj just hinted at it in that tweet. The jig is up, she says. We're talking about Jay-Z. Jay-Z apparently making phone calls to Jeffrey Epstein. Allegations Epstein sent victims for massages to Harvey Weinstein, allegedly turned a little ugly. One girl refused. Smart move, I would say. Another supposedly got a movie role after an Epstein introduction to Harvey Weinstein. Remember that photo of Oprah with Harvey Weinstein and some young Hollywood actress? And it looks bad, right? Now when you read these documents in the Epstein files, probably as bad as it sounded, right? These weren't producers. They were predators with casting couches that led straight to hell. And liberals cried, believe all women, until it hit their own. Now they don't seem to care about this. Another person you wouldn't expect to be in the list, Kevin Spacey. Photos of him grinning with Jeffrey and Ghislaine and Slick Willie Clinton. Flight logs show he was on the Lolita Express, probably practicing his card tricks. Hollywood kept giving him awards while the rumors piled up. Classic liberal. Separate the art from the artist. Unless it's Trump, then burn it all. Isn't it interesting, too, about Donald Trump? They really want you to believe Donald Trump's a predator, but they ignore the fact that Gavin Newsom, when he was a middle-aged man, had a teenage girlfriend. That's the next governor. Well, the next president. Sorry. Awkward. Oh, a little Freudian slip there. No, that's supposedly the next president. They say Gavin Newsom, that's their guy, but they don't care that he was a middle-aged man with a teenage girlfriend. I'm getting him ahead of myself. Other people on the list, not surprising to see there, Woody Allen, flights post-conviction, regular townhouse visits. Some manifests even had victims aboard. The guy makes movies about neurotic relationships, but like adopting your stepdaughter and calling it romance, liberals still defend the guy. Peak hypocrisy, I think. You know who I didn't expect to see in this was Chris Tucker. We kind of knew that from last year, but nobody's talking about it. The comedian, very famous for Rush Hour movies, hugging Ghislaine Maxwell in photos from a 2002 Africa charity flight with Clinton and Epstein. Did they bring Chris Tucker with because they were going to Africa and they didn't have any other black friends and they didn't want to look racist? I don't know. Michael Jackson was a surprise because, well, for one, he's been dead a long time. Also, I don't get the impression the thing that Michael Jackson is supposedly interested in and the thing that Jeffrey Epstein is supposedly interested in are the same thing, if you catch my drift. I'll leave that alone. Other Hollywood A-listers in the mention in the Epstein files, Mick Jagger, Minnie Driver, Alec Baldwin. Jeffrey Epstein had Alec Baldwin's personal phone number and personal contact in his Rolodex, saved in his iPhone, apparently. Alec Baldwin claims he never knew Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, he also says he never killed anybody, so I'll let you marinate on that one a little bit. They all deny me having met the guy, but they are mentioned in the files. Folks, this isn't gossip. It's a reality check. While Trump's building walls and draining swamps, these Hollywood liberals are swimming in Epstein's swamp. They're virtue signaling about everything except for their own demonic past. Nicki Minaj has seen it. I believe her. Satanic rituals, child sacrifices. Maybe she's using hyperbole, but I think there's a grain of salt to this, of truth at least. Sounds like the after party for every single award show, if we've learned anything from P. Diddy. The jig is indeed up. So if you're sick of the lies, if you're disgusted by what our ruling class does, something to marinate on a little bit here today. I'm Kenny Webster. We got a big show today. Tony Ortiz is going to be here from CurrentRevolt.com. Comedian Alex Stein is stopping by. He's working on a new comedy show with Roseanne Barr. He's actually going to be doing a show with us this summer at the Texas Republican State Convention. More on that in just a little bit.
Coming up, more Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness. A safe space for those who love liberty and try not to take themselves too seriously, even if your name is Karen.
Hey, what's up, kids? You know, we have a thing going on February 14th. I'll tell you guys about it in just a second. For those of you wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm here all morning long, so sometimes I'll record part of my afternoon show, and then part of it's live. And that way I don't have to be at the radio station for 14 hours every day. That's how I'm able to do it. But, people are always curious what goes on here in the studio. So this is it. This is what happens in the studio. Okay, we're back. The number of Americans living with obesity is expected to rise by 19 million by 2035. That's a lot. That is a lot, you guys. Did you actually think our obesity rate was going down? Fat chance. Hey, you know what? You know who loves you no matter how fat and gelatinous and gross and disgusting you are? Your wife or your husband or your spouse, or you know what? Maybe you're single. It doesn't matter. Whatever you are, find your way over to jesseisfunny.com, we have a comedy show coming up. That's going to be a ton of fun. I want you guys to be there. JesseIsFunny.com is the website. It's going down on February 14th. It is Couples Therapy. It is in Spring, Texas. If you are looking at the screen right now, you know. For those of you wondering, listening on the radio, we're live streaming on social media. Go to JesseIsFunny.com today. You can get tickets to our comedy show, February 14th, 2007, Riley Fuzzle Road in Spring. I didn't even know that was a place. It's called the Community Fieldhouse. Apparently, it's a very big place. Food will be served. There will be live music from Texas country legend Jeff Canada. That's going to be a lot of fun. Then me and Jesse and another funny comedian named Seriously Melissa will be doing a show for you. And then after the show, there's going to be a DJ. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We want you guys to be a part of that. You will love it. It is going to be absolutely fabulous. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Tickets available now. It is a good deal. $60 for you and your lover. Drinks not included, but the bar's cheap, so drink as much as you want. We're not going to charge people for drinks if they don't drink. But if you want to drink, there is a full bar with plenty of great options there, so that'll be a lot of fun. And did I mention it's not sold out yet? VIP tickets are still available as well. But if you don't want us to roast you and your lover, just get the regular tickets. Unless you do want us to roast you and your lover. You know, that's up to you. We're not here to judge. At any rate, I've been talking about Hollywood and the demons in Hollywood. There's really two interesting red carpet galas that went down this weekend. There were the pedophiles at the Grammy Awards, right? And then at the Trump Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., a little more humble, the Melania debut took place. And you know what I love about this? They did not invite the legacy media. They were not allowed in. And the liberal media tried to make it sound like from the get-go, like this movie was going to be a failure. Guys, it was the #1 movie of the weekend. Now, granted, it's not really the time of the year when movies normally come out, but it's right before the primaries. So it was a good time for Melania to debut. Breitbart.com's John Nolte reporting on the legacy media eating crow once more now that Melania has scored it is not only the #1 movie of the weekend, it is the best box office opening for a documentary in over a decade. I think technically it was a non-concert documentary. So if you went to see the Taylor Swift thing, there's probably more people that went to that, but that really is a different category. This is a story about a person. It's nothing to do with watching a concert. The Taylor Swift movie is a musical. You're watching people perform and rock out. At any rate, Deadline reports that Melania will close the weekend office in third place with $8 million opening. Turns out that's not what happened. They all got it wrong. Domestically, Melania outgrossed Jennifer Lawrence's most recent movie. It outgrossed Stephen King's movie. It outgrossed the latest Coen Brothers movie. Drew a bigger opening weekend on fewer screens than Dwayne Johnson's recent movie. Melania drew more opening weekend ticket sales than a Russell Crowe film that just came out, and did so with in less theaters. Imagine that. Melania sold more opening weekend tickets than Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman's remake of, what was the movie? Some other piece of crap. The Roses. I guess it's a remake. I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't see Melania either, but I'm not surprised it did well. I'm surprised people thought it was going to do poorly. People did not, there's an interesting thing that happened here that kind of reflects itself in how our elections work. Nobody pre-bought tickets for this. Or they did, but there weren't a lot of pre-purchases of tickets. People just showed up at the theater and watched the movie the way we used to do it. And that was very shocking to people in the liberal media. But isn't that also what Republicans kind of do when there's an election? Republicans don't usually vote early. I mean, I know that's not always true, but it often is. In 2018, every poll, everybody out at the exit polls knew that Beto O'Rourke was going to beat Ted Cruz. And then on election day, way more Republicans showed up than Democrats. And, Beto O'Rourke was never the senator of the state of Texas, so I guess you know how that ended. Anyway, if you want more context, none of the titles that we just mentioned faced a relentless multi-billion-dollar coordinated propaganda assault from multinational companies in the political and entertainment media. None of them did. None of what Russell Crowe's new movie, Benedict Cumberbatch. None of those. The media didn't go out and try to denigrate people for taking an interest in those films. All they did was crap on Melania. That's all they did. And shockingly, Melania did great. The old rule in Hollywood or wherever is no bad publicity, still publicity. Maybe that's true in this context. Unlike all the movies we just mentioned, There was no hit. There were no hit piece on those. There was also Melania is essentially a straight to streaming title, but people still wanted to go watch it in the theater. Amazon produced this, so it's probably going to be on Amazon Prime in a couple weeks, but it's not too late to go watch it in the theaters. And also, I'll leave with this, as was mentioned in the report here. All this pearl clutching over Amazon, spending tens of millions of dollars on Melania, it's total horse crap. Melania delivered the world's two biggest superstars, Donald and Melania, to Amazon Prime for $75 million. You're going to tell me that's a bad deal when streaming services drop hundreds of millions of dollars on crappy movies starring Matt Damon and Eddie Murphy that no one goes to see? So something to digest, something to soak in. It is kind of great. Even the foreign media, like The Guardian ran an article on Friday that said, oh, it's in 28th place. Nobody's going to see this movie. And then yesterday or early this morning, they ran a story saying actually it did quite well. It was very shocking to them. Now, there's a website called RottenTomatoes.com. I know a lot of you know what that is, but for some of our older listeners or the boomers watching, you don't read movie reviews on. Everybody knows what Rotten Tomatoes is, right? Rotten Tomatoes is interesting because it shows you what the critics think, but it also shows you what the fans think. Audience raved about Melania. Got a 98% rating from average people like you and I who went to go see it. The critics destroyed it. They thought it was garbage. Now, you knew that was going to happen. Nobody's shocked to learn that the Hollywood media didn't like Melania. Why would they like it? They spent the weekend standing around in the cold in Hollywood trying to get into the Grammys so they could, spread the cheeks and toss the salad of a bunch of left-wing Hollywood stars that don't care about them to try to make some point about how Billie Eilish or Roan Chappell's breast looked great in her new dress or whatever. It's like, of course those people hate Melania. They like trash. They like garbage. Garbage goes in, garbage comes out. That's how Hollywood works. It's the same way AI works. But anyway, the 2020 Michelle Obama documentary did worse than this. It's great, right? The 2016 feature film, South Side with You, about Barry and Michelle Obama's courtship. Guess what? Didn't do as well as this did. Nobody watched that. More people watched this. 2017 documentary, The Final Year, about Barack Obama's final year as president. Corrupt critics gave it an 83% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Fans hated it. Normal people were not impressed, well below the 50% mark. You see where I'm going with this? And nobody watched it. More people watched Melania this weekend than all the Barack Obama films combined. And one of the reasons critics cannot judge a movie on its merits is that the critics are leftists. The leftists are spoiled by pop culture. Every movie, every book, every documentary, every TV show is designed to pander to them. And so that's where we left off on this thing. The reviews about this tell you everything. Hollywood critics hated it. Average people enjoyed it. Average people saw it as taking a victory lap to the 2024 election. It was a little bit like when your team wins the Super Bowl or the World Series and they have a parade. If you didn't love the team that won the World Series, you're not going to watch that. Why would you? But if your team won the World Series, you're definitely going to attend the parade. I think that's what Melania was for. That's who Melania was for.
If I were you, I'd stay put. Kenny will be right back with more of what you came for. Fart jokes.
Imagine if you were in a romantic relationship with someone who constantly disappoints you, someone who constantly lies to you, someone who constantly cheats on you. That's a little bit what it's like to invest in the dollar. Why are you dating a dying dollar? Break up with the inflation drama now. Call Lear Capital today for your free gold investment kit packed with everything you need to protect your savings. And right now they're doing a deal, $20,000 in bonus gold with a qualified purchase. That's like getting free armor in the money apocalypse. Don't wait. Call Lear now. 800-364-9200. That's 800-364-9200. Seriously, your future self will thank you and probably buy you a cup of coffee, a very fancy cup of coffee with all that money you have made after investing with Lear Capital. 800-364-9200. That's 800-364-9200 for Lear Capital.